game is an amateur game. I mean, the professional side of it, there are idols and heroes and fun to watch them play. But I mean, if it wasn't for amateur golf, there would be no golf.
You have to remember, when you play a golf course and you're out there for 4 hours or whatever, you're only hitting a ball for 15 minutes of that. So there's a lot of time to look around.
Welcome to another episode of the Top 100 Clubhouse podcast. I'm your host, James Henderson. I'm joined by my boss, my very handsome boss, David Davis, and the legend that is Christian Lundin. It's great to have you back on, Christian. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Great to be here, and thanks for inviting me. I'm busy, very busy, traveling a lot.
So where have you been? What have you been up to?
Well, since we opened Crownwood in end of June, we opened Trump Aberdeen in the new course that is finally named. We opened that in August, but during that we're building 36 holes in Vietnam, so we've been planning that. We're now in Qatar building another 18 that's going to break ground before midsummer, and we're just released and published the project in Wadi Safar in Riyadh, city center Riyadh. So good fun.
How's your air miles?
Racking up.
So just quickly on the Trump Aberdeen, I was really wishing they would change the name to the London Links, because then you'd have London Links 2.0.
I reckon we should. That's probably going up to the Senate or something.
And how's the opening of Crownwood? How's it all gone?
Crownwood's been amazing. It's really humbling in how it has been received. We built up a membership that is very good, and we're trying to build it slowly, organically, get the right people in there who appreciate that type of a golf course, that type of experience we're doing. We opened up what we call a preview play in midsummer, Swedish midsummer, which is the big weekend in Sweden for the summer. So that was great. Got a lot of members out. And then they played for that for about 2 months. And then we opened up the clubhouse, and we then turned it into a soft opening for the rest of the year in mid-August. And well, the biggest negative we got back was that we had pennants that was navy blue and dark green, so you couldn't see them. And that was the only negative we got. And I'm quite happy with that. If they complain about the flags and not the golf course, I love it.
I could just add in there, sorry James, but I was really lucky to be on the back end of a road trip down through Sweden, and had an opportunity to go visit probably just after you opened the clubhouse in the summer. And I think that's interesting. I mean, I've seen a lot of places. The vibe that you guys have created there with the clubhouse, I mean, the course is awesome. And then you've got, that. So it's so important in this day and age to create this kind of like the hang, what's the hang about? How good is the hang? And especially for destination clubs. Yes. So, that's a place where people are coming in from all over the world, basically with your membership. And the vibe that's there is, I would akin that to kind of a Tahiti feeling. Been out to Tahiti, lucky to have been there a couple of times. I love that place. Walked in there and I'm like, holy cow, this is not very European. This doesn't exist in Europe at all. Like, it's nowhere. So immediately you're like, okay, you don't want to leave the clubhouse when you come in. And of course I wanted to play golf, right? But that feeling of being there and like, this is going to be a great hang. Hey, what's the other things look like? Accommodation coming in the future, co-working spaces, all those type of things. I don't want to be your sales guy.
No,
but
you're doing a good job.
Honestly, I mean, I was really, truly impressed with it. Like, really impressed. So that's the kind of place you want to go and you want to be. You just want to go hang out, and the world will be off your shoulders if you're there.
When thank you first and foremost. But I'm so happy you said the hang, because that was one of the things I said to the guys when we were doing it. The hang is important. Everyone looked at me like, Swedish golf doesn't have that.
No.
European golf rarely have that hang. No. And I was saying, guys, we go to Bel Air. So we went over to Bel Air. Bel Air is, in my view, the best hang.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. You hang after a round, and the vibe there is awesome. Tahiti, I haven't been. I would love to go. Yeah. And it's just, I heard the same thing. And that's what we were trying to achieve. And it's not an easy one. It's not something you can just build. It's a culture. It sits within the walls, and you need to get staff to believe in it and create it, and the members to believe in it.
Yeah.
We can build the best golf course out there. And it's the most boring spot to spend time at because the membership is bad. So it's so important to get the right members, get the vibe in there that this is what I'm hanging after around. I'm not looking at, who's over there at that table, and do not talk to them. I interact, we speak to them, we say hello. And that's so important for a club, and it hasn't been done in Scandinavia for sure.
No, but that's not very Northern European, you know.
Not at all.
Living in Amsterdam, I can tell you that's just not common, you know. It's not common that you have a place where it's really welcoming in that sense. You bring your game, or you're with your people, and you kind of stick to that, you know.
It's kind of, I understand there's a culture for clubs in Scotland and England that is a wee bit different, and in Ireland. But in terms of that American style hang where you get member and member guests, and it doesn't exist outside of Ireland, where there has been an American culture that's drifted into that country.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I've experienced some of these things, and it's so much more fun than the classic, we're going for a medal.
You're right. And the tournaments, that comes down to what type of tournaments, what type of format are you going to play? Not the stroke play. You're going to have a bit of other things. The team section of it, where you pair up in twos and play kind of matches and stuff. And it is completely new for Northern Europe. I agree. And it's so important to get it right. So we're trying a bit, and we know we're gonna do mistakes, but we're open about it. Like, give us feedback. So how can we try this? And we just open up 18 holes. We're open up the clubhouse. So next year now we're looking at the lodging, as you were saying. We need the accommodation on site that is going to be good, warm, nice, cozy lodging where you can spend your time, your day, and hang. You can walk down to the ocean, swim in the ocean if you like to freeze to death, or you can go to the spa and or the gym or the co-working. So it's a place where we want people to come and spend time, and it's built on the purpose. Like being in Florida as we are now, I've seen a bit of private golf over the last few days, and the prices I'm hearing, I'm going, holy smokes! Well, you're paying crazy amounts over here at the moment. So we're really building it on the model of the right people. It shouldn't cost you everything you own, but you should just want to be there and spend time and spend money and bring your friends.
Do you know what it sounds like? I know this. I'm not. Well, it sounds like a retreat for men. And I know it sounds like a golfer's retreat rather than anything else, like a place that you can get away from the world and still be able to do everything you can do at home, whether it's do a bit of work, answer your emails, go for a round, get some good food, hang out with your friends.
But not a men's club, right?
Not a men's club.
Just to make sure that we have.
No, you're absolutely right, and it does sound like it, because obviously I look at it from a personal perspective. What would I have liked? But one of the things that was important to us is that when you join, your wife, your kids, they're part of your membership. And we have wives who've joined and said, my husband now, so he's the secondary member as they put in the system. But it needs to be a family membership. And we've loads of guys who comes out there and bring the whole family out, play around the golf and hangs and have their Sunday dinners.
Yeah, and let's get one thing straight. You could have an amazing, women's gals trip there. Like, it would be an incredible place because it'll tick every box. The food's awesome. The hang is really good. I mean, this is just from, my experience of being there one day, but you can see it, right? And the other things that you already mentioned that I've not seen yet, obviously, but, spa. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have the right components, it's going to draw the right crowds in there.
But it just sounds like a retreat.
Yeah.
It sounds like if you're a golf nerd, it's a haven. That's exactly the great word. It's a great word, and it's really exciting to see it going from strength to strength.
Yeah. So the next step for us now is we open we've set the time. So we open just the week before Easter, which we opened the Crown, as we call the 18-hole course, and then that's open up until end of October. That's what we might tweak a week or days, but that's the day. 2 weeks after we open the Crown for the year, we get 2 weeks, the members get access to the playground. So they have full access to that. Then 2 weeks in, we're going to open that to the public. So the playground is going to be public kind of element to our property, because we want to give something back to golf. And so we let the people who's the para golfers who has a registered para golfer in the European organization can get access and play for a discount or for free certain hours, and juniors get the same thing. And that's our way of building a private place which it could be, this is a private retreat, it's a men's club. No, it's not. It actually gives access to everyone else. And I think something important to us, it lies close to my heart and to Henrik's heart and Harold's heart in the way we wanted to develop our own property. We wanted to give access to more than just those who are privileged enough to do it. Then there's, I think, with our pricing point, I think there's a lot of people who actually goes, so cheap, I'll do it anyway. I'm going to join. So
I was shocked at how, and you've the way you set up the pricing. Don't have to go into numbers, but there's almost like a clawback.
Yeah. So well, we can do numbers. Is 2026 is to directly in Swedish kroners, but we'll do it over to euros or dollars. It's $7,000, 7,000 euros, and 5,000 of them is allowed to be used at the club. So
like
this
a credit
is a credit kind of levy that you use within the club. Food and beverage, pro shop, but you also play for your rounds of golf. And the tweak with that was when we looked at the problem in Sweden is that you get members who play 150, 200 rounds at the courses. And the club managers I speak to, who I'm working with and trying to develop the course, and they're the worst members. And hold on. They're the members who use your facility. They love your golf course, so they can spend half of the year playing on your course. They're the best customers. But they pay 700 euros an annual fee, and they pay so many rounds. That's because your pricing is wrong. That has nothing to do that they're a bad customer. That's your fault as a general manager. So our model was that you pay per round. So the member has a fee that we deduct of the levy for every round, and then there's a guest fee for their guests, which is a bit higher. That means that if there's a member who wants to play 100 round, they can, but they need to put in a bit more money into the levy. That's when we discount it. So those who uses our facility spends more money than the 7,000. They get a bit of discount on the add-in that they buy in. So all of a sudden we're giving something back to those who use our facility a bit more. We think it's a quite natural way of setting up pricing. It hasn't been done before.
It's very original, and it's thinking outside the box. Do you think it's because of the fact that you're non-American and it's in non-American spaces, and the golf industry as a whole is really decided by the American press?
That's definitely one side of it, without a doubt. Then it's my marketing is terrible, obviously, but it's just we haven't had time. We've been flat out just doing golf courses and signing these new ones. And when we get into a project, we spend a lot of time on that. So for that being, I love to doing these things, doing the podcast and getting a chance to get out there with it. But just haven't had time and haven't had people reaching out to do it either. But it's just when we did Aberdeen, I was brought over by Eric Trump. Eric's heavily involved, obviously. So Eric brings me over to Doonbeg, which is another of their properties. And when we're doing tweaks there for the tournament this year, and then we're probably going to do a bit more after that. But he goes, how far do you travel? Work. I said, I'll travel as far as you send me.
The world is my oyster.
There's airplanes there. I'll go. I can rack up air miles. So Dan, there was a question that they have a project in Vietnam, just outside Hanoi. Would you go down and have a look at it for us? So together with the guy who developed their site in Indonesia, Dustin Jennings, he's the project manager for Trump organization down there. I was brought in as the designer. So we got a chance to do 36 holes, fully private, a lot of housing as well, which is going to break ground now within the next couple of days. There's a Chinese New Year comes in and going to mess up a bit with the timings of it. So I reckon we're probably up and running in March. And we're looking at have 18 holes completed by 27. It's a very ambitious timeline,
Yeah.
but there's the APEC is in Vietnam in 27 and the president will visit. So that's probably going to affect that schedule. So we're going to be pushing hard on that.
What's it like getting men to build golf courses out there?
Well, in Asia, there's a big expat community for sure. There's a lot of Australians who's done a great bit of work.
Yeah.
For me as a European coming in there and my kind of eyesight on how I want to deal with there's a bit of a cultural crash.
Yeah.
Because the Australians are used to building in a certain way. The Americans are used to building in a certain way. Europeans are used to building in a certain way. So there's a bit of a culture crush, but me and Dustin has a great collaboration on it, and we make sure that we can build it in the right way. And like the target, what we set up, and it's super ambitious, I know, and it's going to sound crazy, but the concept we put, looking at what's out there, and you played a lot of those courses now, right? They're all weird out. They're that kind of minimalistic style of golf course. There's been a lot of that being put in, sandyscapes and all. So we looked at what's unique in Hanoi, and we're up north in Vietnam with Hanoi.
Are you north of Hanoi?
Yeah, we're just south of Hanoi. So we're not.
So like you have Halong Bay.
We're Halong Bay is east, right? Just 2 hours east of Hanoi.
Yeah.
So we're just 20 minutes south of Hanoi. So we're almost downtown.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the province is called Hung Yen, which is just south of Hanoi province.
Okay.
And what we see in there is that they have loads of colors, flowers. They have cultural, which includes a lot of flowers and colors and that kind of drama. So one of the things I used throughout, and I should have thought more about it before I said it to Eric, but I said, we should build Augusta of Asia here. We should really do flower beds and colors and really green it up. And he obviously loved that idea, going, that's going to stand out. Yes. So now we're looking at tree farms. Where can we get nurseries where we can get big size trees? So when we open up, it's going to be a complete product.
It'll look mature, basically.
It was going to look mature. And we've handpicked now the zoysia grasses for it that we believe is going to play right for that type of golf. And so we're it's going to be a really exciting project.
This episode is brought to you by the Lockhart Travel Club. We believe golf is more than a game. It's a journey. A journey we've made across 34 of the world's top 100 courses last year. And now is your turn. We curate bespoke travel experiences for passionate golfers who expect nothing but the best. Membership is limited, so join us at lockharttravelclub.com.
You have to, my experience of being there recently probably when you were there as well, is that it can be really wet in the, it's tropical kind of, it feels tropical.
Correct.
And then, they can get so much rain in like an hour that you can't even believe it. You know, that's like, even Netherlands is full of rain, right? But they get rain in an hour that we might get in months, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
How much have you had to build that into the construction and say okay, listen, they flooded out this year.
Yeah.
Almost a few weeks before we came, they had disastrous floods in
Da Nang.
Yeah. In Da Nang and that area, Hoi An and whatever, it was terrible. But how does that affect the build that you're taking on there?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because that's so important. They actually had in this summer they had a record. They had 1 meter of rain within 24 hours. And we can't even imagine.
You can't imagine that.
It just
it's the swimming pool, literally.
Wait, so how many mils is that? That's 1,000 mils. So that's 400 more than I get at the farm for the year.
That's so good question. So what we do, and that's why the concept of an Augusta would suit, because you got a bit green. That means we can flow the land and bigger slopes instead of all these small humps and bumps.
Yeah.
So we do bigger slopes. So we feed down to larger catchment areas, which we then bring into ponds and make sure they flow over into streams, etc.
To me, that's such a complex part of architecture that we don't, the average people don't ever think about. Usually, of course, doesn't get 100 to 1,000 milliliters of rain in an hour.
And then you add the element of having a 1,000 units of houses on that, which you get hard surfaces with all the roads, etc. And then you're going to cover that water, or you're going to split that water into your golf courses, into your golf course ponds, and how then you're going to make sure that that's a clean water. So there's a lot of that. That's the time you spend with engineers and you do your mass grading. And I always like to do on all these sites, I tell the master planner, the developers, that I want to do the mass grading for the whole site. I want to every plot. So I don't let them grade the plots because I want to integrate the houses into the flow of the land. So not for them, it's to get the best views, maximize the profit out of the housing.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about minimizing the views of the houses because that maximizes the product.
Right.
I've just played in Bears Club, and Bears Club is one, you can talk about the design all day, but what they've done so great, they've landscaped that place. And I can understand people are paying premium to live in there because when you play the holes, you don't realize they're lined with houses and they're big mega mansions. Like Michael Jordan's house in there is big as convention center. It's crazy, but you can't see it because they've landscaped it so well. And that's part of when they did the master plan, when they did the mass grading, they did it in one. So they made sure this type of a hole, we can block that view. You don't see that. And that part is so crucial too. And when you guys then come out and rate golf courses, around, that's not great. That is affected by so many things.
Of course.
And I can see it speaking to the engineers that most of them are just, but we're going to make that flat. And no, you're not. It's not happening. We're doing so they get a flow. Then this house get a better view. So how can you... Then you can't just have 3 model of houses. Then you need to have 6 model of houses to make it work. So it's part of that trying to educate the developers because they obviously, most of the times, they just want to maximize, get as many houses as they can in, which we've seen so many times, which is normally shitty golf courses. Yeah. But that's part of our task now.
Definitely that detracts from the value in the long run.
Oh, yes.
So they're 100%. Very short-sighted, kind of like, and do this and fill it up. But in the long run, the value of things goes down instead of going in the right direction and having a great golf course that everybody wants to go see, for example.
Exactly. The value of the membership, the annual fees, everything drops. Yeah. But the developer who developed it they've got their money, so they're out. So I think that's when I look at projects and kind of evaluate them. I look at who's the developer. Are they good people for the long run rather than just get out and
it's your name, right? It's your name.
Exactly. Correct.
Super important.
That's your long-term value as well.
For sure.
Yeah. So
well, we're in the land of that, right? We're in the land of tree-lined, flatter golf courses.
We're in the county of it.
Yeah, we're in Florida at the PGA show, so just so everybody knows. So the contrast is amazing between working in Vietnam, working near Hanoi, this massive, sprawling, crazy city, something close to there, a very easily accessible point for, China and Korea and Japan and, like all of Asia, basically. And then moving and then being so wet and, so moist there a lot. Yep. And then moving from that tropical environment into the dry, arid nature of the Middle East.
Yeah.
Incredible contrast, which very few people have that kind of experience. Very few designers will get to work in those extremes.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, boom, if you don't mind us switching, we're already in the Middle East.
I thought that was a really good segue, I have to admit.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, flip everything that we were doing upside down.
Exactly.
And
what are we doing now?
How do we get water?
How do we keep water?
So the Vietnam projects came first.
Yes.
Okay. So awesome. Great segue into, just like you said, into Middle East. Yeah. Which one started first? How'd that work? And how'd one come, how'd you transition from one to the other all of a sudden?
Yes, I've been extremely fortunate with the Trump organization, and they've enjoyed working with me, and I've done good jobs together with them, I believe. So they want to use me again. And at the moment they're they're really riding a wave of getting properties around the world, getting a lot of proposals and suggestions of building golf courses. And they're very selective in what they choose. They could probably build 100 over the next couple of years if they just accepted everything that comes to their table. So in the middle of doing the Vietnam stuff, I was called up by the head, Larry Glick, head of Trump organization, great guy. And he phones me and says, Christian, I have a bit of an issue on the site. Would you look at the routing for me? We can't get the amount of houses out. We can't really get the views out that we want. We can't, Eric, and how Eric works, and how can you make sure that this golf course could work? So he sent over the plans. I looked at them and said, I'll tell you what, I think we can move the clubhouse. The clubhouse was not on the ocean because this is an ocean frontage site.
And where's this at?
This is in Qatar, in Doha.
Qatar, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just north of Doha. And basically we moved it. I took the clubhouse, moved it down to the ocean. So it just sits on with 180 panoramic view of the ocean, of the Gulf.
Wow.
And then I said, we'll do 9 on one side and 9 on the other. So we do like a butterfly routing to get it to work. Then you can put your houses on the outside. So we play golf on the inside. So houses, you basically use your perimeter as your road. Then you can landscape that on one side and get the focal points towards your homes. And when you enter your homes,
so the homes look out over the Gulf into the sea,
into the sea and into the golf. So
nice.
You're creating these kind of races of the golf course between the housing instead of lining every hole with houses, which has been done and kept being done. So this way we just line the perimeter of the site rather than the every hole. So we managed to get the golf course in there on each. So front 9 on the north side and back 9 on the south side. And when I did that, they go, awesome. Now you're doing this. So, okay, I'm not sure. Well, you have a month and a half. Can you get the drawings ready? Yes, of course. And we have a great client down there called Dar Global, who's doing a lot of work down there at the moment. And they, when in the middle of doing that work, they have another project in Saudi, in Riyadh, which they just go, you're doing that now. Can you sort this out for us? Eric wants you on board on this one. So then I get Saudi, which is Wadi Safar, Trump International Wadi Safar, which we just announced last week, which is another incredible site and which uses the old where the settlers founded Riyadh in the wadis, as they call it, canyons, where they could collect water. It's a bit cooler. So we go through that land, down in the canyons, play 3 holes down there. We get up on top, play on top of all these with the great views and some quite big houses.
I think you showed us one.
Showed us a couple. They look like palaces. To be fair,
that was the medium one,
and that's the smaller medium ones. Yeah, exactly. The smaller medium ones are palaces. I don't know what you'd call the other ones.
Conference centers.
Exactly. That sounds incredible. So one of the things that we have to say is that you look at a couple of those pictures. I don't know why, but I have this preconceived notion of what Saudi Arabia looks like. I'm way off. Maybe parts of it look like my preconceived notion.
I'm thinking desert.
But yeah, I would think desert too, right? And then you see this and there's quite a bit of greenery and shrubbery and all these type of things there. And so we look at that and it makes you pretty interested to go see it. I mean, I'm really fascinated by the development that they're doing down there. Of course, there's a lot of golf development that they have planned, very aggressive development until like 2030, the 2030 plan or whatever it's called.
Vision 2030,
Yeah. So
mega.
So there's, that's like uncharted territory for almost everybody. I mean, you've been there, you've been working there, but for us, like I've been everywhere in the world, literally.
Yeah,
it feels
you
like
are
that.
one of the great golf travelers.
And then I hear about that and I'm like, that's like blank space. I have gray area. I have no clue what's going on.
But it's not just you. It seems to be the world is kind of grey on it, apart from what's going on in the Saudis.
Yeah, and in fairness, it's a country that has been closed to the general public for quite some time, and it just recently they opened up. I think MBS, the Crown Prince, has done an incredible job in opening up the country. Like I remember, I visited there first time 6-7 years ago when this Vision 2030 with all the giga projects and all the we're going to build 100 courses, whatever it was. Every architect in the world was sent down there to have a look and trying to work with the great Gulf Saudi program. And from those 6-7 years, the progress we've seen is unbelievable. Like Riyadh is like a modern, vibrant metropolitan city. They have a lot of things that they're still developing. And what I like with it is that they're moving extremely fast, but they're still doing it in a pace where I think they're not losing their own kind of character. They still have their soul in it. These projects, as you said, there's next to this is Qiddiya, which is a Nick Faldo course, and there's Diriyah, which is a Greg Norman course. So there's going to be some great golf within just 20 minutes from each other.
Wow.
And we're talking 20 minutes from city center of Riyadh. So it's a really cool project. And as you said, the greenery, the arid landscape, that desert landscape, the way we could utilize it and landscape it correctly with the palm trees and it's so important to have that in your landscape concept plan, that we want to take care of it. We want to leave as natural as we can. So minimal footprint on the golf course. It won't be the width of a Crownwood down there for sure. It's tighter and more kind of, we're going to use the style where we put the bunkers with the whiter sand and important sand to get the right playability out of them. And then green lush fairways. But then you get the arid kind of desert landscape outside that, when you get the palm trees, then you get to the house. So that development is super cool.
And like technically, we don't have to go deeply into that because that'll put everybody to sleep, I suppose. But what kind of grass sort survives down there? Like, what are you going to use? A Bermuda, some kind of Bermuda?
Yeah, it is Bermuda grasses. Yeah. So basically, there's a company called Atlas Turf.
Yeah,
a great guy, a good friend of mine, John Holmes, who started a program down there, created a nursery 5-10 years ago, which is doing for all the World Cup pitches and all the stadiums and everything they're doing. And he's taken species in there, that varieties that works perfectly in there. And I just met him here. That's why I'm here in Florida now. I met him yesterday, and we were speaking about, I saw that grass, I like that. Can we bring it in? And he said, yeah, I'll bring it in. I'll farm it now. I'll get it on site. So I'm going to travel out to Palm Spring to look at the grass species that we think would suit perfectly there, that he can bring in and suit. So there's stuff that we're trying, and again, they want to be in the forefront. They don't want to sit and look at the development happen and say, oh, that's what we should have done. They really want to trial and be the best.
Yeah.
And having those partnerships that they have created is, so we're going to utilize that, so we know that there's a product that works.
Okay, and so that place, we mentioned the castles that they're building around it. You know, those are obviously private homes.
Yes.
Hotel associated to it.
Exactly. That property, Wadi Safar, is 18-hole golf course. Don't hold me accountable on the numbers, but I think there's about 400 houses in total, of which I think 20% is Trump mansions. So that's branded real estate. And there's a Trump hotel going in as well.
Okay. So that means that it could be potentially open to tourists and stuff like that in the future.
Through the hotel.
So like golf tourists through the hotel, and there'll be limited access or something like that to it.
Correct.
Okay, great. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. The uniqueness of coming from 1,000 millimeter rain in 24 hours to no rain.
Yeah.
The stuff I'm working on at the moment with like I'm building 5 18-hole courses next year, or 2026, so finishing off one. So we're doing the Vietnam, which is then all these lush greenery and plantings and all that. We're doing the desert style courses in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And we're finishing off Österåkers, the second course that me and Henrik was doing up in Stockholm, Sweden, where we're trying to do a tip of the hat to golden architectures. We're having the Beerites, we're having the what's the open church pews. We're doing a lot of these funny greens and trying to copy, replicate the old McDonald's style, really finding the concept holes and redoing our style of it. Okay. So I'm
where is that? That's
in Stockholm.
Is that Österåkers?
Österåkers, yes.
Oh yeah,
correct.
Sorry, I don't say it right, but
you're very close. You're very close.
No, okay, that's super interesting. And that's the second course or third course there? Second course there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Österåkers, tell us a wee bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, so basically that was the first job I did with Henrik Stenson, where we did a collaboration, where we built the East course, which we did a stadium style kind of lush green, white sand, blue waters, and said that's going to be the target golf, sawgrass, Le National kind of look-alike. Yeah. And then we had the West course, which was their premium course, which we've been waiting to set our teeth into. And we just broke ground, I think it's 2 years ago now, almost a year and a half, where we decided to do a concept of do concept holes and do our versions of these concept holes. We have the hell bunkers, we have the beer races, and it's just been fun. It was a bit of a passion project for me, because I told it to the client, and Henrik liked the idea, but Henrik wants a certain type of golf course. And I think we're pushing stuff in here that probably normally wouldn't suit his eye, but he's kind of agreeing with it's a cool idea of doing our versions of these holes. So it's been great fun. We have a contractor in there who's doing a great job, but it's a really bad soil.
So why is it? What do you mean by bad soil? Is it like clay?
Heavy clay. It's really heavy clay. It's all old sea, basically, that hundreds, thousands of years or whatever. So it's a heavy soil.
Kind of like peat, maybe?
It's peat-ish, but this is like pottery clay.
Oh, wow.
It's as bad as it
so
can
bulletproof in the summer if it's dry,
and we need to sand
knee deep in the winter.
Yes, and knee deep in the winter, which we saw. We were trying to work into December, and it's been a bad autumn as well, and you didn't get anything. So the membership, it's a standard Swedish membership club, and unfortunately they have to wait a bit longer to get it open. But I think the product they're going to get is no one's ever seen anything like it in Sweden.
How deep will you have to fill the whole thing, right? Or put sand across the whole?
Yeah. So basically what we do, we shape the clay.
Okay.
As it is a pottery clay, it does shape quite well, and you can get it really smooth.
Yeah.
We'll drain it, we'll put irrigation in, clean it off, and then we'll put a sand cap on.
Okay.
So we do a 20 cm sand cap.
Okay.
And ideally, you probably put a bit more if you could.
It's a lot of sand.
It's a lot of sand.
Very expensive.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And not only is the money the problem, is that you're going to bring the sand in a certain period of time, because you can't stockpile it too much on site, 'cause it would block everything up.
Yeah.
So the amount of trucks that we're bringing in would block off the traffic. So that means we're taking 40,000 people who lives in this small suburb of Stockholm, and they can't get to work, because our trucks are going in and out, which we had in the first project when we hauled in a lot of soil from the city developments. In that, we had one truck every 4th minute for 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for 18 months to do that first project.
Oh my God.
If I lived there locally, my wife would hate golf even more than she already does.
Correct. And I remember I came over the hill, over the crest, one morning in my taxi, and there was just a stop in traffic, and there was lorries backed up, and the taxi driver was shouting and roaring, and I was going, "That's me. That's on me. Sorry."
I'll give you a good tip.
What's the problem?
That's crazy. I can't actually fathom how many trucks that is. Just going back to the Saudi Arabia stuff, just because it's such a unique space that we don't really hear much about. What's the uniqueness of that property for you? Is there ground you can actually build a golf course on, or is it?
It's a very, very harsh site. It's rock, small, crumbly kind of boulders everywhere. It's going to be a tough one to build, and especially move dirt. So we're going to bring in local experts, and then use the locals who's been working with this material in the past to be able to shape it up. So we get in some kind of, we're saying that in Stockholm, we can do kind of great with the pottery. Here we're going to be very rough. So we need a bigger cover of sand when we then cut it and shape that. So
how much, if you don't mind me asking, how much will it be kind of like the courses in Dubai? Do you know what I mean? Like they have they're outside of like Yas Links. You know, they all feel a little bit similar.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm really excited about in Wadi Safar, is that site is so different with these wadis, the canyons. It will look like nothing else.
No, that's really interesting.
I've seen pictures of, and she said, I've barely seen pictures of Qiddiya and Diriyah and those projects. They're in great sites as well, with a big kind of nature around them, with big drops, and so really cool land features and landforms that we have a chance to use. But Wadi Safar will be amazing with the big houses on top, overlooking the wadis in one way and overlooking golf. And we get a par 3 that plays straight across this into a small little island green. It's not going to be that small. We do a lot of cunters in it, and so. But you're going to stand there and play across history. So this is the first settlers. This is back in the Bible when you settle.
Yeah.
Like this is really cool history in this place.
And you showed us a picture of the valleys, and it looks. I've seen pictures. I've never been, but that kind of cliffside desert golf that you get in Arizona or in Utah, and it kind of has that vibe to it. Those valleys, that
things
harsh rock.
Things like Cap Rock kind of come to mind. You know, Cap Rock in Nebraska, Valentine, Nebraska. So where they had some pretty dramatic features to work with. You know, it sounds like you have that.
Yes,
which will make it really spectacular.
Yes, Wolf Creek is another one in Nevada, right?
Yeah, right.
That's on steroids.
Right.
Rocking things up. But yeah, that kind of a landscape. What I like about it is that we have they call it escarpments, and they're super protected. We're not allowed to touch anything on them. So we get the chance. We've got the permission to go up and down through these, which is a very hard one to get. But we found a route where we won't disturb it at all. So we're actually going to play down into them. So you're going to have the walls around you, and that's just mega. And then you get up and you play on top. And then we're going to recreate the look of these wadis and put water in them. So to recirculate water as well, because a lot of these courses, they do underground water tanks just to make sure that they don't evaporate too much soil and too much water. So, but we're going to do a system where we're going to drop it over weirs. So it looks like it's a valley that's been filled up with water, which was back in the day when they got the rainfalls, and we're going to recirculate that in a quite heavy volume so we can actually get water in.
How is the water there? I mean, like in this particular area or this particular site, are they drilling down and getting it under the ground?
Yeah, so you use TSE, reclaimed water, basically.
Right, okay. So they have to do they create a plant to purify that water or something?
Yeah, so all of these projects, all the giga projects, like this is, our site is a couple of 100 hectares. Like we're 3% of the project. So it's a big project. So
I mean, it's going to be massive, yeah.
It's massive. Yeah. So all of that is being connected, and they get access to a certain amount of water that we're allowed to use. So that's what, with that number, we then start looking at, okay, this is the number we get. How much greenery can we have? How much golf course can we have? How much landscape can we have? So that's the numbers you start and play with the master planners to get. Let's do an island green. It's not only cool for the golf, it's also that we can minimize the footprint of golf, of the grass.
And so can you, if you're in a good negotiating position, as you mentioned with some of the other things before, you can say, you know what, we need 30% more water or something like that. How would that be addressed?
It's definitely possible. We like to do, like I always try to bring the Golf Environmental Organization in. So we like to sit with them and see what can we do, what's good for this, what's not good to do. And then we're trying to see how we can create the best project together. I think if you go in with, I know I'm on top in a negotiation, so I'll just do whatever I want. That's going to get us very short-lived. So I think the product, we want to build the best golf course, and I think if you do that with a passion and with knowledge, you're not going to need to enforce. There's certain things that it can get silly. If you have an escarpment of 4 kilometers, and I'm saying I need to put like a bridge structure, so I need to drill foundations for which platforms with 30 cm in small little platforms. I need to do 20 of them on this. Would that disturb this? No, it wouldn't. But that's an argument that you would probably go in, okay, guys, now I've set my foot down. We need to do this. Because you still have, we can rock up and build a cart path through here and fight that. But we don't want to do that. We want to build it with a minimal impact to your landscape. So are we just saying no, or are we saying, let's do it for the better of the environment? Let's improve this area.
And how far is this, geographically? You could tell me anything in Saudi Arabia, and I don't know, but how far is like the sea from where to work?
Riyadh is in the middle of the country, so it's far.
Okay.
I reckon
Got it.
there's an hour and a half flight to Jeddah, which is on the west coast,
Okay.
and I would say it's similar
Yeah.
to the east.
And again, it was just roughly,
Yeah.
right? Is it close by where they have desalination plants or they have to
no,
build them? And that's
we're in
kind
the
of what I was
middle of
what
the
I was going
country.
at.
We're in the middle of the country.
Wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Then there are some of the development building. There's a building going in down there that's like, I don't know, ridiculous. So it's like miles long or something like that.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
that's in the Neon project.
Yeah.
That's called The Line.
Yeah.
And I think it's I could be completely wrong, but I think it's 170 kilometers.
Well, that's exactly right. I didn't
300 meters wide.
want to say something and sound really foolish, so I'm glad you said it so that I can
sound
just
foolish.
shake my head.
But I think it's 300 meters wide and 170 kilometers wide.
Exactly.
How's there enough materials on Earth just to do that?
Yes.
I don't know, but something like that is unfathomable, right?
But
you just think like, wait a second, what? Did I hear that right?
I struggled with you talking about trucks.
Yeah. Now we're talking like 170 kilometer long building.
There's a
It's
great
300 meters wide.
There's a YouTube film on it that it was announced a few years ago, the whole project, and it is incredible because there's a concept behind the way of living in that, and for me it was super cool to see. I'm building engineer by trade, love master planning, love that, and you kind of go, whoa. First reaction is go, no, that's crazy, don't do that.
Yeah.
Then second reaction is, there's a reason. The reasoning behind these, and the architects who's behind it is great minds doing some really incredible stuff. Then there all these giga projects that they're doing down there, like they're in Riyadh. There's an old airstrip. The Navy, not Navy, it's the airline, the army base in the middle of the city. That's they're going to turn into a park. And that's going to be the world's biggest green park. It's 5 times the size of Central Park.
Oh
it's
my
in
God.
the dead center of Riyadh. And they're now talking potentially, it could be golf courses in there. There could be other stuff in there. It could be sports for kids in there. And now I'm looking, if we propose that in Sweden, which is supposed to be a progressive kind of country, we would have everyone going, nah, I can't do that, I can't do that. And these guys are doing it. So I think a lot of the times, and I might sound like I'm all pro Saudi and what they're doing, and they are trying to develop something quite amazing down there. There's a lot of things that is not right, but they're doing certain things that are just so impressive, super impressive.
Well, the golf stuff it's pretty amazing, So like we're living through a period where that level of development down there is incredible, right? The stuff that they're doing, whether all the golf courses will be amazing or not, that's remains to be seen, right? We got to wait and see. But it's exciting because there's development in an area of the world that you would think, it's like, okay, what's next? The moon?
Yeah.
Are they going to go to the moon next and start developing golf courses there? Or
Every
whatever,
photo I've seen of the spaces, all I can think of is the film Dune.
Yeah.
I guess.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
And it's
I
amazing.
think this is a period of time that we will look back on and talk to our kids about, because this is changing for golf. What we had 20 years ago with the minimalistic approach and all that came in to golf course architecture, changed golf course architecture for forever. But I think we're going to look back on the projects being done now. And as you said, not sure all golf courses are going to be great, but the way we're changing a region from an arid landscape, which is ungrowable and unusable, it's uninhabitable. And they're now bringing it into bring a population in, create cities. I just hope they could go through with a lot of things they're proposing, because it's some fantastic potential in that.
It's interesting because I had an interview with a guy, Joshua Ralston, a long time ago, who is a Muslim Christian relations professor at Edinburgh University. Very much around Live when it first came around. He was talking about how the Saudis have been very smart in the way they've done things, because they've sat back and watched Dubai, watched Qatar, or Abu Dhabi, or wherever, watched how they've dealt with those things. And so they don't make the mistakes that they've made, and then taking that onto what they're planning for the future for Saudi.
Well, the development's great for their culture and their people, basically, because, it's there's a lot of positive things around it.
Yes.
Positive to the Western world. I mean, who knows? It could be like this major tourist destination when they get that. Like, imagine the amount of extra outside investment and, and stuff like that, that it brings to that region. That's incredible.
I think our time might be up.
Okay.
There's some loud noises going on in the background as they open up the bar, which for the
timing, right? Open up the bar.
Pint. I know that you're both busy men as well. You've got to be places, but for those that don't know, we're in the main bar in the Hyatt, which turns into the party after the PGA show. It fills up. And so there's a lot of restocking that has to go on before they open up. Anyways, Christian, I'd like to say a huge, massive thank you yet again for coming on.
Thank you for having
me. Always welcome, as you know. And David, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've got many a meeting to go to, and you've got a load of fanboys. No, I'm joking. But it's great to have you both on again, and a wonderful, interesting chat from different. Completely different. Do you know what? You're probably the architect that is taking on the most varied sites in the world right now. And to be able to have that experience and be able to talk to our listenership about that is really cool. So thank you.
Very fascinating projects. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next time, maybe we sit in the clubhouse in Crownwood and have this, right?
Yeah. Hopefully. I'll hopefully see you in July.
Top100golfcourses.com has set the standard for golfers worldwide, and now you can wear that standard proudly. Premium apparel and exclusive gear for those who truly know the game. Shop now at top100golfcourses.com.